Okay, so today we're going to walk through the assembly of my new 5 easy piece, MiG LFI, or what some have called the MiG Light Fulcrum. This is the assembled model here hanging on my hanger. And here are the pieces. You have the main wing. You have the nacelle half here, and the fuse half, the fuse lid, little fuse bottom, and the KF airfoil. Oh, probably in the elevon. The plane goes together pretty much like all of my 5 easy piece aircraft. You would slide the nacelle, for instance, over the main wing, thusly, and push it on in. You do that gently. And that pops in there. See, goes right through the thing, and then two tabs here and here guide the nacelle together, and there you have it. And then this lower on the inside here, we've got this little score fold tab that comes down and meets a slot that's formed when you put the two halves together of the nacelle right here, and that helps give you a place to mount the motor. Better. Place to mount up there. There you go. Yeah, place to mount the motor right there. Makes a V, and then this edge right here is beveled, and that goes together. That splits the airstream as it comes through the air intake. And of course, this piece just scooches up here and glues to that edge, so creating that air intake, a single air intake underneath the plate here, as you can see on back, and then the tab comes through here. I run the tab long and then glue it and then cut it off and glue the tape over, kind of smooth it out. Anyway, so goes together fairly simply. The upper fuse, then, I've given you a little tab or mark there for where this is for where the back end of the fuse is located here. Glues in place. I didn't mess with the tab. I don't like to put a tab here because it kind of weakens. I think it weakens that motor mount area. But you can see it'll go right in that opening like that, and it tips over. The fuse cap goes on. And I always start at the rear. Now the front may run a little long with points or whatever. Just trim those up. I let it do that for a reason, so you can trim it up and make it your own. And the same with the let me turn around here so you can see it better. Same with the bottom of the fuse. This is a score fold. Okay, off this main wing, you have this score fold line. So you score it from the upper surface down, so that folds this piece down, you see, which gives you that distinctive MiG look there, where that bottom of the fuse projects downward from the main wing level. Anyway, so you bevel this edge here then, and I would bevel this edge to the top of the fuse. This edge and this edge bevel, and bevel these so that you can mate that right up, just like I've done here. So it makes a very smooth line. I'll go ahead and put tape over it, but you can do whatever. But when you bevel them, it makes a nice sharp edge. Goes together great. You can just glue it together if you want, however you want to do it. I've done glue and tape for so long, that's just what I do, and I'm not saying that's the only way to do it or not. Now you'll see these, I kind of start this, well, the widest point is going to more or less line up with this point here. So if you kind of tap it that way, you'll see how that all kind of comes together. And this, though it ends up being a little short of either end here, but that's okay. They all come together. And this kind of has a bit of an overbite, or you can trim it back, whatever, but it turns out well. Once you get it all together, you can see that the nose comes together just fine. So anyway, that's how that goes together. You got the top and bottom. Now the KF foils, once again, I've cut them so that the upper foil falls against the fuse here when it's in that line. And then the lower foil, that's what I've got notches shown and a line shown here on your pattern. So you can, for the lower foil, you cut off, if you want to put a lower foil on. Some people just fly them with the KF2, but I like the 4. So if you want the 4, you can cut it back to this line, and that brings the foil then into here, into the nacelle, as you can see on the finished one and the flying one here, how that works. Like this. As you can see, I'm flying this with just 2 servos. Just 2 servo setup. This is so long. Normally I've got them back here, but I had these longer rods, so I used them. And then I have, for the longer rod, I have a little straw and a little stanchion here to hold it out, so that it keeps this rod from bending, so you get a lot better action. But normally on these, I end up with a shorter one, and they're back about here, just before the prop slot. Like I said, it ended up here. It works just fine. I have reinforced with a single carbon rod here. And you may or may not need to reinforce up front here. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't run one across. I didn't end up doing it on this one. It didn't seem to be warping too badly, and it is, as you can see, head on, pretty straight. Sometimes the way this works out with that, making this, cutting that to bring the fuse down, it causes the fuse here, these leading edges to be off, but it's not so bad on the Fulcrums. My other Fulcrum really didn't need any reinforcement right there. There you can see what it looks like. Let me get the light in there better. You can see down into the maw of the thing there. You can see the motor mount from this side. The how the Airstream works, all the wiring. I've got some holes shown there where you can bring through the wires, and they'll come up in the. Oh, here, wait a minute. Okay. There's the motor mount. I go ahead and put a piece of foam on there to give it a little bit more contact area for gluing. You don't necessarily have to. I've done it both ways, but I really come to do that, and it works out well. It's optional. Like I said, I cut holes in the top of the wing here so I can bring through the leads for the servos, the battery connector, and transmitter control, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, you can see there how when you cut those little triangles, the motor mount, how that drops back. There's the back side of it, helps for gluing. I fasten the battery forward there. It's basically, as you can see, about halfway. Well, the center of the battery is about even with the line where the leading edges would. If you draw it across there, strike the fuse, or basically the front of the battery is where, if this leading edge were to project clear to the center line, that's basically where the very front of the battery is. So, and I've got magnets, using magnets again to pull the lids down. Anyway, that's pretty much how to put one together. It's really a simple build. It's a great flyer. And you can also, if you want, you could activate all the surfaces. There's no reason not to. Let's see, what did I say this? Let's get the tape measurement out here. Well, the overall length of the bird are, get back here on the end of the elevon, and we are at 42 inches, I would say, that way, more or less. And then we've got a 30-inch wingspan. So it's a nice proportion. It's quite light. After all, it is the light Fulcrum. And there she is. And that's a wrap.